All right, guys, we need to have some real talk here. We need to have some real talk about these games. Because there's one thing I give to you. I rip off that shell that is the Eagles fan and give you my objective opinion about these games. One of which I'm going to save to the very end, and I'm sure we all know which game we're talking about here. Anyways, let's get into this. Baltimore Ravens at the New England Patriots. Oh my God. I hate the Patriots. I hate Tom Brady. Holy shit, was this a good football game? Me, as the fan of football, my team out of it, I just want to see good football. That game was everything and then some that good playoff football is all about. Joe Flacco, two huge mistakes with those interceptions. But my God, this guy is one of the best postseason quarterbacks there is. Taking a commanding 14-0 lead. Granted, a lot of that is Forsett running the ball too, which, by the way, absolute beast that came out of nowhere. No one thought Forsett was going to be a force to reckon with as far as running backs go in this league this year. But Flacco is just so cool, calm, and collected going on the road. Just had kept command of that game, but lost to the better team. Lost to the better team. When Gronk and Brady are on, and when Belichick has his coaching game on, I know people are going to be like, well, he cheated by, the men at the line, and they didn't know which guy was an eligible receiver and all that. He didn't break the rules. He didn't break the rules. So I'd be the first to tell you that Belichick cheated, but he didn't break the rules. He manipulated the rules to his advantage. All right, that's about as far as I'll go with that. Anyway, that aside, Tom Brady proved once again why he is going to go down as the greatest quarterback of this era, and a little bit later on we're going to be talking about why another quarterback is not going to be going down as the greatest quarterback of this era. Anyway, another AFC Championship appearance, by the way. New England ends up winning the game 35-31 in just an absolute shootout, an absolute stunning game. Even Tom Brady throwing that crucial, take a shot, the phone interrupted, that crucial interception near the end of the half, resulting in points for Baltimore. When that happened, I was like, it's just not Brady's day. The Ravens have done it again. They figured out this team in New England, and they're going to go on and go to another AFC Championship game, but man, Brady stayed cool, calm, and collected, and he's nearing the ending years of his career, and he looked every bit as good as he ever did in the prime of his career. Again, I hate Tom Brady. I hate the Patriots, but as a football fan, that was some goddamn good football you saw, the Patriots and the Ravens for that matter. The Ravens have nothing to be ashamed of in this performance. Two key turnovers by, I almost said Elvis Gerbach. Jesus Christ. The former Ravens quarterback. I don't know, how do you get Gerbach confused with Flacco? Anyway. Sorry, absolute brain fart there. Anyway, good goddamn game, and wow. Anyway, Carolina at Seattle. I don't know why so many people were picking Carolina Panthers in the upset here. I just don't get it. I told you this was going to be at least a double-digit victory. Now, granted, it was a close game up into that third quarter, but you can't honestly tell me, even going through the third quarter into the fourth, that you said, yeah, I think Carolina is going to take the lead and take the victory on the road in Seattle. I never got that feeling. Cam Newton is Cam Newton. He's been playing like an injured quarterback all throughout the year, and the team just doesn't have enough on offense to get it done against this superb defense. Like I said, Carolina is number 2 in a lot of categories under the Seahawks. Seahawks are number 1. Carolina's number 2 in a lot of categories. There's a big separation between that number 1 and number 2. That pick 6 showed you what that separation was. Anyway, 31-17, almost doubled them up in points. I told you this was going to be a blowout, and that's what you got. Anyways, Seattle, Russell Wilson going on to his second NFC Championship, potentially second Super Bowl in 3 years. That is remarkable. Anyway, 2 for 2 already here on my picks. By the way, I had perfect picks up to this point, so now I am perfect up into the weekend. We'll go over the Dallas-Green Bay game first because I got a lot I want to talk about that. I'm going to go over the late game first. Indianapolis at Denver. Are we done? Are we done? We know what we're talking about. Are we done trying to tell ourselves that Peyton Manning is going to go down as a better quarterback than Tom Brady was in this era? Are we done talking about that? 8 one-and-dones in the playoffs for Peyton Manning. I can't believe it. I thought the Broncos were going to win this game. Oh, wait. No, I didn't. I picked the Colts to win. And some of you had a problem with that. Let's take a look. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. Let's see. Does anyone else have anything to say? Oh, boy. Okay, well, let me see here. How sweet does this taste? Ouch! 24-13. 13 points for the Denver Broncos? Peyton Manning. Uh-oh. John Fox just got shit canned, and I tweeted it out yesterday. A lot of people were like, oh, no. John Fox didn't get shit canned. He left on his own accord. He said he's going to part ways and left. Well, folks, that was John Elway sitting John Fox down in his office and said, listen, you can either walk out of here for good and say that you left on good terms, or I'm going to fire you publicly. That's what happened, people. Let's be realistic. That's what happened. You go 3-3 in the playoffs with the best quarterback ever as your quarterback, choke in the Super Bowl to Seattle and get absolutely decimated. Not really a choke, just a failure in the Super Bowl. 2 one-and-dones, 1 to Baltimore, this year to Indianapolis. Bye-bye, John. Bye-bye, John. They're not going to miss you in Denver. Thanks for taking them to the Super Bowl. Thanks for taking Carolina to the Super Bowl, but best of luck in future endeavors. God damn, the Archfiend has every single pick he's made in the playoffs right. Yet every week someone wants to say, oh, your picks are so stupid, Archfiend, you're going to be so wrong. Blah, 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 blah. People are going to say that this week after I picked the NFC and AFC Championship games. Well, that's fine, because I've only got one prediction wrong, and it's this game. I picked the Dallas Cowboys over the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay ends up winning 26-21. Now, why did Green Bay win this game? Let's think here. Oh, right off the bat, you're going to say because the refs screwed over Dez Bryant and Tony Romo when Dez pulled in that pass. A remarkable leaping catch at the 1-yard line. Pulls it and secures it, hits the ground, the ball pops out a little bit, rolls up, pops out of his hands completely, grabs it. Upon further review, it is seen as not a catch. Did I think it was a catch? I did. In my book, it was a catch. In my book, I think he made a football move of moving towards the end zone. The problem is my book isn't the definitive book on what the actual rules are. The rules are completion of the process, and when he hits the ground, that ball does jar free. And by the letter of the law, that is not a catch. And the refs saw it that way. You can argue that, it was in the mind of the refs that, they couldn't give this to Dallas because of what happened the week before with the Detroit game. Because they screwed over Detroit on a bad call. You can argue that all you want, but the bottom line is the rule is a shitty rule. You can argue the illegitimacy of the rule all you want, and I can argue it there with you. I'd be the first to tell you, Dallas is beat, Dallas lost, they're out of the playoffs, they're sitting on the couch, But no, it upsets me to know that a play that spectacular is taken back on a technicality of a rule. that should go down as one of the single greatest receptions in playoff history. But it won't! Screw you, Dallas! I'm sorry, I had to get one rivalry jab in there. But anyways, why did Dallas win the game? Let's go back to that question, all right? There's three main reasons why Dallas did not win this game. I think I said why they won the game. Why they didn't win this game. Three main reasons why. Number one, right before the second half ends, Dallas has got the ball with it was like a minute 40 some odd seconds, and Romo passes to Witten. Witten passed right to the first down marker. And I'm watching that, and I'm like, boy, that's a pretty convenient spot. The refs place the ball down, ends up being a first down. Dallas is at about the 35-yard line at this point, and so might have been a little closer than that. Anyways, so I'm looking at this, and I'm like, boy, Dallas better get to the line pretty quick. It's under 2 minutes, so that can call for a booth review. They better get to the line pretty quick, hike the ball, and get the next play off. They have first down they're working with. What happens? Jason Garrett calls timeout. Now, I'm Johnny Nobody here watching the game at home from my couch. I have a snowball's chance in hell of ever being in any sort of sideline coaching capacity for a professional NFL football team. And I'm sitting here going, you better get to the line real quick and hike the ball. But yet the coach of the team calls a timeout, allowing the booth more time to review the play. So what ends up happening? The booth ends up reviewing the play. Now all of a sudden, it does seem that the refs gave Jason Witten a generous spot there. They move the ball back. Now it's third down. They didn't get the first down. So what happens now? You have 3rd and 1, less than a yard. Tony rolls out to do some pass. He kind of bobbles the ball. He's throwing a pass. It looks like it's a pass interference draw play. Throws the ball out, doesn't get the pass interference. Now it's 4th down. You have to kick a long field goal. Bailey lines up for a 50-yard field goal. Field goal misses. No points. Green Bay gets the ball back. They drive down now with plenty of time, 2 timeouts left, and get a field goal with no time remaining. That is a point swing of 6 points. Dallas could have at least had the ball with that first down at the 35-yard line and at least ran out the clock or had Green Bay used up 2 timeouts, took time off the clock, kicked a field goal with maybe 40-some seconds left. Worst case scenario, they missed the field goal, and Green Bay more than likely doesn't drive down in 30-some seconds to get a field goal off before the half ends. Why does Jason Garrett, number one, call for the timeout? And number one, why does Jason Garrett not call for a running play there on that 3rd and 1? Why? Worst case scenario is you run the ball, have Green Bay at least waste a timeout there, or you run out the clock. It makes no sense. Dallas, that difference, that 6-point swing was enough because you lost the game by only 5 points. That 6-point swing could have been enough to win the game. Why else did Dallas lose the game? DeMarco Murray was running up, a little sweep around the line, had nothing but daylight in front of him. The last possible guy within an inch of tackling him, Julius Peppers, reaches in with barely a foot of length to work with to grab him, taps the ball right out of his hands. Fumble. Takes 7 points right off the board. Why else did Dallas lose that game? Well, after Dez Bryant and that little bobble catch ended up being reversed, Green Bay had a 3rd and 11 with about a minute and change left. I think it was like a minute 30, whatever. Dallas, all they have to do is stop him right there. All you have to do is stop him right there, get the ball back, and then you can drive to win the game. What happens? Batted at the line of scrimmage. Boom. Right into Green Bay's hands. First down. Game over. So don't give me all this stuff of the Dez Bryant catch ruining the game or anything like that. This is why, time and time again, I never complain about referees' calls, because bad calls happen and bad human judgment happens. That Dez Bryant play was a bad human judgment play, in my opinion, even though it was a technical rule. When you leave it up to the interpretation of the refs to have a play like that leaves referee interpretation as one of the guidelines, then you have no one to blame but yourselves. Because you didn't take care of business. If you take care of business and you don't go on a play like that Dez Bryant bobble catch to be playing to take the lead instead of extend the lead, which is what Dallas should have been doing in the fourth quarter, they should have got that Dez Bryant touchdown. They should have got at least a field goal before the half. Or DeMarco Murray touchdown, Dez Bryant. They should have got that DeMarco Murray touchdown that ended up being knocked out of his hands by Julius Peppers. They should have been playing to extend the lead, not take the lead in the fourth quarter. Dallas, the team is no one to blame but themselves. But backing off of that for a second, I know a lot of Eagles fans, and I was chiming into on Twitter. I was laughing that they lost and all that. But it got to the point of Sunday night where I was seeing and hearing, like on Sports Talk Radio, just the amount of people that were gleeful and happy and like pointing and laughing at Dallas. It got to a point where I tweeted out, I said, guys, it's time to start worrying again about the woes of our team. It was fun to point and laugh, but that time is gone. And on top of that, Eagles fans, I know you like to just, piss on this because of the rivalry and everything. But Dallas fans have nothing to feel ashamed of in that game. Nothing. Because that season was significantly just overachieving all season. No one gave Dallas an ounce, except Skip Bayless, no one gave Dallas an ounce of hope in this season. This was like when the Saints beat the Eagles last year. Some people were popping off to me, or last season I should say, popping off to me saying, the Eagles are back home sitting on the couch. And I'm like, I'm not disappointed. This is a team that won 4 games the previous year, went into the playoffs against a team that just won the Super Bowl a few years prior, and we lost to them by 2 points in a slugfest. I'm not disappointed in that. I'm hopeful in the future. Dallas has every reason to have that same line of logic. They went into the playoffs and won their second playoff game in 19 years. As a Dallas fan, you have to be happy for that. And if you're a Dallas fan and you're bitter that your team blew it and that DeMarco fumble cost you the game and all that stuff, be glad you got as far as you did. Be glad you achieved as much as you did. Next year's another year. My team has to go with that as well. We're all sitting there on the couch watching the playoffs together now in the NFC East. Have a seat. Anyway, that concludes the NFL Divisional Round review. Only got 1 game wrong so far this year. Now, before I go into the AFC and NFC Championship games here, my predictions, I would just like to say that a certain someone predicted that the Colts and the Packers would be playing in the Super Bowl this year. Okay, the someone was me. Anyways, back in August, I told you the Colts and the Packers would be facing off in the Super Bowl. And I thought the Colts weren't even going to be a feasible possibility into that, but then when I saw them get that second matchup against the Broncos, I was like, yeah, that definitely is a possibility. And sure enough, both teams are alive, and I get to look like a football genius if that ends up happening. Not that being a football genius on YouTube amounts to anything in this world. Anyway, let's get to it. Oh, well, actually, one last thing I want to add to the Dallas game, it's kind of a point I said to the Detroit game, I said this just looking at the matchup here for Green Bay and Seattle, is that the one thing I hate about what is going on with these bad ref calls to sign the games is that they're cheapening the victories for the victor. It is a damn shame that all the sports talk this week isn't about how great Brady looked and how great Aaron Rodgers looked. 2 guys that are going to go down as the greatest quarterbacks of all time, frankly. Aaron Rodgers has got some work to do on that, but I think he's going to get there. Aaron Rodgers, what is going to be the league MVP this year, played a miraculous game on one leg. The touchdown that he had to Rodgers, the Rodgers touchdown that took the lead for Green Bay, was one of the most ace touchdown passes you are ever going to see. Thrown into double coverage, absolute threading the needle, every cliche you want to throw at it. And stuff like that isn't getting talked about this week because the whole DeMarco Murray, Jesus. called Des Bryant DeMarco Murray before. Anyways, the whole Des Bryant bobble catch is the only thing that's really getting talked about from this game. Spare a few people bringing up how great Rodgers played. So anyways, that type of performance is what legends are made of. That type of performance that Brady had is what legends are made of. And that is the type of performance that you barely ever see Peyton Manning give. Barely. Even the year he won the Super Bowl, he had 7 turnovers, guys. I'm tired of hearing this Peyton Manning shit. I really am. I really am. Anyway, Green Bay at Seattle. The rematch of the Week 1 stomping that Seattle gave to Green Bay. Obviously, if you sit there and you think Seattle is going to throttle Green Bay as easily as they did in Week 1, even if you're a Seattle fan, you're kidding yourself. You're absolutely kidding yourself. And the thing about the previous week is I think Green Bay got a much better test round going into this game than Seattle did. Seattle played a team that had shit on offense in the Carolina Panthers. They didn't really get their defense tested all that much, whereas Green Bay got tested by an offense that is very good. The 30-plus point offense in the Dallas Cowboys this year. And a team that has won every single game on the road this year. The Dallas Cowboys, and Green Bay beat them at home. Green Bay hasn't lost a game at home, obviously. And I think that is a significantly better test. However, if I look at things, the grand scheme of things, it comes down to this. What is better, the Green Bay offense or the Seattle defense? To answer you honestly, the Seattle defense. And Seattle's playing at home. But Seattle's lost at home. They lost to the opponent that Green Bay beat just last week, the Dallas Cowboys. This is the time where legends step up. And I just honest to God feel, if I believed in God, honest to anything feel, that Aaron Rodgers is going to seize this moment and he is going to win in Seattle. Of course, it's going to take much more than him. Much more. It's going to take much more than him, obviously. But if there's one player that I can put money on in this position right now, it's Aaron Rodgers. Bum leg and all, it's Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I know. You're going to see a much better defensive pressure on him than what you saw in that Cowboys game. Again, you can knock that pick all you want, but you know what? Everyone's been knocking my picks all year. And the one pick I got wrong took a cataclysmic turn of events and a bobble from Des Bryant to get wrong. So you can say my picks are shit all you want here, but I got Green Bay winning in Seattle. And I'm not saying that just to keep my prediction alive for Green Bay winning the Super Bowl. Obviously, that didn't come into play last week because they picked Dallas over Green Bay, so shut up with that shit. So, who do I think is going to face Green Bay in the Super Bowl? Indianapolis or New England? Tom Brady has been there and done this before. As far as confidence goes, you have to tilt confidence into the favor of Indianapolis right now. I know Indianapolis just lost to the Patriots some weeks ago in the end of the season. But let's be realistic. No one thought Indianapolis, spare me, not many people thought Indianapolis was going to win a playoff game, let alone 2. Let alone a team that was rested for a week in the Denver Broncos and go into their house and beat them. I don't think either of these games are gimmies. I don't think any of these games are... are gimmies. I predicted Indianapolis to get to the Super Bowl back in August. I feel damn good in that prediction, so why give up on it now? Indianapolis, I'm sorry, but I'm giving up on you now. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots are going to the Super Bowl. Again. Sorry, I had to tease you guys there at the end. I don't see much like that game in, take another shot, the phone interrupted. That week, it was like 12 matchup against the Colts and the Patriots. I don't see the Colts having an answer for Brady to Gronk. I really don't. That is just a combination. That is just a death knell to anyone that faces that team in the playoffs right now. Baltimore found that out, and so is Indianapolis. And when Belichick's on, Belichick's on. When his coaching is on, his coaching is on. His defense gave up some big plays, but that was to a certified championship team in the Baltimore Colts. Jesus Christ. Baltimore Ravens. Boy, I went way back in time to call them Baltimore Colts. But you see things like Belichick in moments like this pull out a play like that, like, you know, you would expect to see someone from like Chip Kelly sprinkle in like a tricky play here or there where you have like Edelman pass to Amendola, or is it the other way around? The white quarterback pitch to the white receiver who threw to the other white receiver, not to be confused with the big white receiver who spikes the ball really hard after every touchdown. But anyway, you know, seeing a wide receiver option pass like that and seeing it come out in a game where it's like, you know, you don't have time to dick around and mess up on something like that in a close game like that and to get a touchdown out of it. Patriots are just on right now. They are just on, and it is going to be hard to turn them off. Anyways, I got the Patriots and the Packers in the Super Bowl. That would be a clash of the Titans if it happens, and I'd love to see that just as a pure fan of football. Anyway, that's my review. That's my predictions. Will I be as on par as I have been the rest of this season? Who knows? Let's find out. Till then, I'm just going to sit back on Sunday and enjoy some football. Along with the Dallas Cowboys! One last rivalry jab. Have a good day, everyone.